Hello, everyone, and welcome to this week's Product School webinar. Thank you so much for joining us today. So, just in case you didn't know, Product School offers product management certificates online and at our 20 campuses worldwide. On top of that, every week we offer some amazing local product management events. We host online webinars and live streams and Ask Me Anything sessions on Slack. Head over to productschool.com after this website to check them out. So today we have an awesome guest presenting with us. I'd like to introduce you to Christina Bourne. Christina is a senior product manager at CallRail, and her main purpose as a team leader is to inspire others using positivity, empowerment, and open conversation. As a product manager at the weather company and IBM business, Christina successfully managed full life cycle of cross-platform products, including web, mobile web, tablet web, and video. She was also responsible for product launches, which include ideation, writing user stories, user testing, development, launch, iterating, and enhancements. After this, she moved to CallRail, where she holds the position of Senior Product Manager and Department Lead for the core CallRail application. She leads the product portfolio, which incorporates user management and security, onboarding and self-service, and customer segmentation, including specialized features for marketing agencies. She's a detail-oriented, organized self-starter who strives for perfection and doesn't hesitate to make decisions. The rest of the time, she's a traveler and she loves running and doing different things for her community. So feel free to leave any questions that you have for Christina in the comments here on Facebook, and we'll definitely address them towards the end. Without further ado, let's welcome Christina. Thank you so much for joining us today, Christina.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, thanks.
Go ahead and get shared here. All right, thank you, Nikki. I'm really excited to talk to you all today about customer empathy. It's something I am passionate about, so I'm excited to share with you what I've learned. In this webinar, we will talk about what empathy is and why it's important, how qualitative and quantitative data can serve as empathy builders and roadmap influencers, and we'll then apply some of these practices into your roadmap planning. So a little bit about me. Nikki gave you a lot of it, but I'll talk to you about how empathy has played a role in my career. So I started at the Weather Channel, which became an IBM business during my 8-year tenure there. And at my time at Weather, I managed advertising products, weather.com worldwide, and the Android app. My products reached over 90 million users. Weather is actually extremely important to people's lives. At my time at Weather Channel, customer empathy was key to ensuring that I, as a product manager, truly understood how important it was to my customers that our weather data was accurate and easily digestible. And then in 2018, I joined CallRail, a startup marketing attribution company that was just beginning to scale up. In my time here at CallRail, we've actually doubled our product organization. So today, CallRail provides marketing attribution services for over 100,000 businesses. Many of these are small businesses. So think your dentist, your favorite sandwich shop, maybe your lawn care guy, and those people may or may not be savvy marketers. So understanding my customer's point of view and having empathy for them and understanding their pain points when they're analyzing their marketing data that CallRail provides is key to delivering the data in the most painless way possible. So that's me. Let's dive into empathy. What is empathy and why is it important for product managers? Empathy is the ability to understand and share the feelings of another person. As product managers, we should be looking to understand and share in our users' feelings as they use our products. We need to not just understand, but we have to share in those feelings when they're trying to accomplish a task, how they go about the task, how our product impacts their ability to complete a task, and how our product makes them feel. We also need to empathize with our users before they even touch the product. What has brought them to us? What problems are they actually trying to solve that brought them to our product? And how do they feel while they're trying to solve those problems? So as we build our empathy for our customers, our product roadmaps will be defined, and we'll talk more about how we get to that place. Our customers are actually just waiting for us to recognize their problems, feel their pain, and bring them a solution. Their pain points, frustrations, any repetitive tasks they're having to take, those are our infinite roadmaps. The world of technology is full of opportunities, innovation, and demand. And when we solve one customer's problem, another will arise before we can even finish bug fixing the first. So for this reason, innovation very often runs parallel to the problems that need to be solved. If we're lucky, our product is never complete, just like our customer is never satisfied. By building customer empathy into process and product creation, we can be sure that we'll always be on top of the next thing our customers need. Airplane Wi-Fi is actually my favorite example of this. Is there a technology hardship worse than trying to browse the internet on an airplane? It's excruciatingly slow compared to our office Wi-Fi and our 4G connections on our phones. But while we complain in between the lethargic page loads, we forget that 15 years ago, Wi-Fi on an airplane wasn't even a thing. And we all would have loved any airplane Wi-Fi just to be able to check our email while on a flight or check Facebook. But now that we have it, we want fast Wi-Fi. So this is a perfect example of how a solution can immediately lead you to your next problem. The solution was Wi-Fi, but it created a new problem, which is speed. This is just one example of how innovation and problem solving run parallel. I hope you've already started thinking of some examples of maybe when this has happened to you in your own product building. So how do we stay on top of the next thing that our customers need? How do we build our own empathy with our customers to know what their pain points are and what their problems are? We gather qualitative data. Qualitative data is the key to understanding what quantitative data you're actually going to need in the future. It provides you with the what and the why as step one. So what should we build and why does it matter? How do I gather qualitative data? All of these things. I do user interviews, I look at product reviews, I talk to customers directly or in the application, support tickets, customer visits. I actually make it a habit to talk to my customers in person at least once a quarter. Whenever possible, I partner with our customer support team, marketing teams, and sales teams, and I'll tag along with them whenever they're speaking to customers. At CallRail, we've actually hosted our customers on-site and off-site to have meaningful conversations, and it's led to increased adoption rates in products and features. But talking to customers doesn't have to be expensive. You don't have to host a big meeting or anything like that. Reaching out to users directly through email is also a fast and effective way to start a relationship with your customer base. When you consider talking which customers to talk to, here are a few things to keep in mind. Accessibility. How easy is it for you to reach your customer? Taking the path of least resistance will allow you to add customer empathy into your planning process without delaying your development cycles. Prioritize the customers that are the easiest to access. The easier it is to talk to the customer, the more likely you are to get to them with enough time left to let their opinions and their feedback influence your roadmap. The next thing I think about is customer segment. Is this customer representative of your other customers? They certainly don't have to be, but you should be aware going into the conversation whether that feedback is going to apply to all of your users or just some of your users. Don't be afraid of segmented customers. Implementing features just for a segment of your customer base can still be a good business decision if those customers are, say, high revenue or have high potential, or if they're maybe your daily active users. I also think about customer satisfaction. Satisfied customers and dissatisfied customers are going to provide very different feedback in your conversations. Both are valuable, but should be gathered with different goals in mind. Happy customers will help you develop ideas that will retain users, increase your usage, and grow existing customer revenue. Dissatisfied customers, people who are unhappy with your current product, will help you develop ideas to increase future retention and fix glaring product issues that you currently have. Now, this one has its own slide because I think it's the most important. Make sure your conversations with your customers are task-oriented. Think about what they're trying to accomplish and watch them do the task if you can. Keeping your conversations task-oriented will drive your empathy building. When you watch someone take the long way to do something, you really feel their pain. Or maybe you've watched them, like I have, export data into a spreadsheet and then have to further manipulate it when really the data that they should be getting from you is right the first time. This will really make you feel for your customers and will give you insight into their world. If you strictly talk about your product and how it exists today, you'll be getting feedback on what you currently do, not necessarily what you should be doing. You may only see a small number of customers respond in your first few attempts to gather qualitative data from them, but don't be discouraged by the number of conversations that you have at first. Users will become more engaged with you the more opportunities you try to reach to them, and as they start to see changes that were made for them, they'll be more engaged in providing feedback. The feedback from any conversation you have with your customers powers ideas, highlights opportunities, and ensures that your software development has a human touch. Now, if qualitative data was the what am I building and why am I building it, then quantitative data is the how often. How often is this happening? So if we were just to stop at qualitative data, you might go on to have fantastic conversations with your customers, and you might think of really great things to build that those people are going to love, but maybe not anyone else is going to use them. So like these emojis, somebody probably loves them, but most people don't even know they exist. So customer empathy as a tool cannot stop at just qualitative data. It must be layered with quantitative data in order to validate your new assumptions and confirm that there is scale to justify the cost of product development. So here are some things I use to gather quantitative data. Feature usage and adoption data, you can get that from any analytics tool that you currently use. Customer pathing, customer journey funnels, research studies at scale, and support tickets. Here at CallRail, we use customer support tickets as kind of our own holy grail of qualitative and quantitative data. So for instance, after hearing that some customers here at CallRail wanted to be alerted of data anomalies with their marketing data, or sometimes they had setup issues with their accounts, I searched our customer support tickets for how often this was happening to customers. How often have they been reaching out about these topics? My research bore fruit, and I found enough tickets with similar problems to reinforce the sentiment I had heard during my customer interviews and meetings. These customer support tickets gave me the quantitative data I needed to justify building a solution for our customers. Through the simple process of engaging in conversations with our users, combined with the careful use of quantitative data to determine how frequently a need or a pain is expressed, you can build a strong case to either add something to your roadmap, or you might learn that it's better to just reject the idea and you can move on and make room for new ideas on your roadmap. Now, you have qualitative data to give you empathy. You've had conversations with your customers and you know what they're struggling with. And you have the data to back up that this happens enough times to justify product development. But now what do you do with all of that? You build your roadmap. What are the hottest pain points? The ones that got people really riled up? And then which ones of those have the scale to build? Which ones are impacting the users most often? That's where you rank those opportunities, and that's how you build your roadmap. Now that you are the expert on how your customers feel and what they think, it doesn't just stop at your roadmap. You have to be an ambassador for your customer. You have to amplify your customer's voice. Tell others in your organization what you've learned and how your customers feel. Share the research that you've done. Share the conversations that you've recorded. Share the data that you have. Maybe you can email it out or post it in a Slack channel. Do whatever it takes to get other people to hear what your customer is saying and how often these things are happening. Encourage those people to talk to customers on their own and also think about what you've learned and what they're going to learn when they're reviewing future designs for your product. Henry Ford is famously quoted as saying, if he'd asked his customers what they wanted, he would have built a faster horse instead of the car. If building the right products were as easy as listening to customers and then building what they say, product managers would be out of a job. So the last critical step in building customer empathy into your process and your products is to make sure that you always hear their frustrations and problems before you come up with a solution. It's important to validate a solution that you've come up with, but it's also important to go in open-minded to these conversations. Empathy is about understanding the customer and the problem so intimately that the solution can actually be freed from any existing expectations that you have. So that's all I have today about customer empathy. Thank you for listening.
Thank you so much, Christina. Okay, so I do have a couple of questions for you before we go. Regarding building relationships with customers and empathy, in your experience, how did you start the process of reaching out and building those customers, maybe early on in your PM career or even now?
Yeah, absolutely. I think one of my favorite tools is every time I launch a new product, I used to be really bad about getting this process backwards, and I would launch a new product and then get feedback, which is important in its own, but it's important to start before that. So I actually would launch a product and then have a feedback loop built into the product where I could reach out, where the customer could reach out to me. But in doing that, I actually got myself a pretty strong customer base of people who were interested and willing to talk to me, and I had their email addresses. So then I could take those email addresses and then be the first person to reach out to them for future product iterations that I was considering.
Awesome. That's a good tip. Okay, cool. So, and what would you say to someone who is in their first 30 days as a PM, whether it's in their first role or in a role later down the line when they already have a little bit of more experience? What would you do in your first 30 days as a PM?
I would say don't be afraid to talk to the customer-facing teams. There are already other people in your organization who are talking to customers every single day. And if you can build relationships with those people, it makes it a lot easier to start figuring out how to talk to the customers. You can tag along to their meetings, you can join them on their phone calls. They can start to set up phone calls and meetings for you on your behalf. But you have to build relationships with those people first. So don't think of your department as just your product development department. Think of your department as the entire company, because everybody is a resource for you when it comes to building your products.
Great. Cool. Thank you. Another question. I know we talk a lot about empathy and we talk a lot about bias when it comes to being a product manager. So what would you say about overcoming bias? How would we go about that?
Yeah, I think one of the important things is to bring other people with you. Make sure you have people who are different from you. Maybe it's a product manager who thinks differently from you that's in your department, or maybe it's your designer or even your developer. Bring them with you on these conversations or these phone calls you're having with customers, because they'll hear something different than you. And it's really interesting to come out of a conversation with a customer and hear what everybody thinks they heard. And some things will be the same and some things will be a little bit different.
Right, yes. Definitely getting fresh perspectives is important, and not only relying on your own. Yeah, that's awesome. Okay, so we are just about done, but I do have one last question that we always ask all of our speakers. Do you have any final words or final advice for an aspiring product manager, someone thinking about going into this field?
Yeah, I think no matter what part of the company that you are in, you can always find a way to influence your product managers. So whether that be taking what you've learned from your own role and turning that into a product idea or product feedback, that's a great way to get in touch with your own product managers at your own company and have them start to look at you as maybe somebody who knows something about the customer and has something to say that's important. So I would say just build a relationship with the product managers, but come to the table with something product related. So if you come with an idea, make sure you've got a little bit of data, or maybe it could be external data from an article you read, but come to the table with a relationship and an idea, and your career will go from there.
Awesome, that's great advice. Thank you so much, Christina. Okay, so we are just going to wrap up here. I'd like to thank you so much for presenting with us, Christina, and thank you so much for everyone who joined us. Before we leave, remember that we do offer weekly online and on-site events in more than 100 cities. Also, if you would like to follow us on social media, you can find us at Product School across all platforms. And be sure to keep up with the latest product management content at our blog, which is at productschool.com/blog. So thank you again, Christina, for joining us. And thank you, everyone. I hope that you all enjoy the rest of your day, and we'll see you back here next week. Thank you.
Thank you.